Welcome, everybody, to the Legsit Founders Series. Our next episode is with Edmund John-Lowell from SelfKey.org, a project that's working on decentralized ID and building a marketplace. Edmund's been a serial entrepreneur, and he's been through a number of projects, and I'll let him kind of tell you his background. Edmund, welcome. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Will. Happy to be here.
Tell us a bit about your background and some of the past projects you've been involved with and the sort of exit process that you had gone through. If you want to share any stories or just kind of an overarching sort of view of what it's like for you to go through some exits.
Yeah, whenever you're exiting a company, there's typically two things that need to be taken care of, the corporate legal entity as well as the assets of the company. And both of these can be really paper-driven processes, which are very, especially if it's a privately held company, opaque, and a buyer that's coming in doesn't exactly know what's there. So typically a company isn't doing a stock purchase, they're doing an asset purchase, especially at the earlier stages of a company. So I think what was really intriguing about what Legsit is doing is they're trying to make that much more transparent so that anyone in a marketplace can come in and see what are the opportunities to acquire IP or assets in this company, which is going through a liquidation process. Having gone through exits before and have also looked at acquiring other companies, it's very difficult sometimes to tell what's there, what the fair market value might be, and to actually liquidate that in a way where it's most efficient. So I really think that there's a lot of opportunity in that space for things to improve.
Excellent. Yeah. So, you've been through this a number of times with past projects. You had a really successful, campaign with your existing project, SelfKey. And I think it's important to share the wisdom of what you've been through in the past with some of these experiences. What are some of the problems that novice entrepreneurs might face when they think about exiting or merging and getting acquired? What might surprise them most when they go through an exit process?
Yeah, I think it's just the amount of paperwork and just buttoning up everything and making sure that it's clearly sealed off, that everything is kind of handled in due course. That is, I think, the hardest part about leaving a company, whether things go good or things go bad. I've had startups that were exited in a nice way. I've had exits that were not as nice, at least in terms of, return on investment for me as an entrepreneur. So I think the really important thing is to make sure that everything is bundled up nicely and neatly. And if there's a marketplace where you can go and sell the IP, you might be surprised when there's actually some buyers there. There's a company right now in Singapore, which is going through a liquidation process, and we're trying to participate in that, but it's very expensive. I've got to go pay lawyers to go to watching briefs and just to try to look at the IP and see if there's anything there, which we don't even really know what's there. So having a marketplace where that was clearly transparent, I think would be a benefit to both the buyers and the sellers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, you mentioned that some of the outcomes weren't as favorable for you as an entrepreneur. I imagine often is the case where exiting a project or a startup isn't favorable to even the investors. And one of the pain points that can be relieved, I think, with a project like Legsit is bringing to the table is they'll be able to relieve, instead of liquidating for nothing, like happens on Angel List all the time, some of these companies can be able to give back, so in quality ways for some of the real value that they've been able to produce. So how do you think the market can benefit with some of these problems such as that being solved and the ability to trade assets more freely that are being merged with another company or maybe being cherry picked to help an existing project?
Yeah, there's so many different types of mergers and acquisitions. We've gone through management buyouts where it was a nice ending. We've gone through a liquidation process where it's it's much more challenging, and there still might be buyers there. I think if you're an entrepreneur and you have a great exit, then you're happy to pay kind of the investment banker fees and get something going, and then the buyers usually recouping those costs. However, if it's on the other side, then you're probably pretty down on your luck as an entrepreneur. Your startup has failed, and Legsit may potentially give you an opportunity for some kind of liquidity event, however small, to sell some of that IP that you've built up over the time. So I think that probably Legsit would pick one of those that they're more focused on and kind of hone in on those type of deals. So yeah, anyway, there's just different types of exit strategies. There's management buyouts, there's leverage buyouts, there's acquisitions, there's roll-ups, there's all types of stuff. So there's a lot of different opportunities there probably for efficiency gains in those different realms.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Leads me nicely into the next question and the last question. Make sure you tell everyone where they can learn more about your project, selfkey.org, and any cool things that might be coming up for you and your project. But what is, you're a blockchain project and Legsit is as well. What is the role of blockchain in all this, and kind of taking these difficult assets and allowing them to be more liquid and creating this kind of effect? What is the role of blockchain? How can a project like Legsit make a difference?
Sure. So it seems to me like blockchain is one of the best technologies for making areas where there's not a lot of trust, be able to have a trustless interaction, right? So Bitcoin does that with a currency or a token, and then there's other assets which are now being tokenized on the blockchain, and then you're able to sell part of them or pieces of them a lot easier, right? That tokenization process is, I think, fairly well established, that blockchain or distributed ledgers are really good at doing that. And I haven't seen a proposal yet where IP in a company which is being liquidated is being added to the blockchain and tokenized. So we were excited from that perspective to work with Legsit, and they're also searching for a KYC provider, somebody who would provide some technology to do KYC. So that's what we primarily do at SelfKey, is allow an individual to have self-sovereign identity and actually own their IDs. So there's some really exciting opportunities for integrations between us and Legsit. Potentially you could be verifying the identities of the buyers and sellers and just making the whole exit or M&A process a bit more transparent. I think that that's where blockchain fits in, and that's where SelfKey is able to kind of work with Legsit to work on the identification process of people and companies.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm excited about what you guys can do together as well. Go ahead and tell people where they can find more about your project and how to contact you if you'd like. And thanks again for making time for us here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Will. It's selfkey.org. And if you're interested in reaching out, we're pretty available on our Telegram, or where else could you reach us? I guess Reddit, if you trolled us hard enough. Yeah, around on the internet. We're trading on a couple of different exchanges right now, and really excited to be part of this blockchain community, and especially powering different token sales and working with different partners like Polymath, Legsit, to provide that identity infrastructure and the KYC layer for these amazing blockchain projects. So it's really exciting and fun times.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Edmund, for your time. And this has been the Legsit Founder Series. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one.
All right. Thanks, Will.